Execution and Asset Management, and I turn it over to our chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good afternoon. The board meeting of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and its component units is now being called to order. Today's in-person meeting is also being held virtually via video conference, with the proceeding live stream from the Port Authority website. Earlier today, the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution and Asset Management met in public session, and the Committee on Finance met in public and executive sessions. Their reports will be filed with the official minutes of today's board meeting. The Commissioners also met in executive earlier today to discuss matters related to the purchase, sale, or lease of real property where disclosure would affect the value thereof or of public interest, matters involving personnel or personnel procedures, or matters involving ongoing negotiations or reviews of contracts or proposals. Now, I know the Mary Lou Hanel fan club is getting anxious, so it is time to take a step back from our normal day-to-day minutes and adoption of resolutions to kind of stand up for a second, Mary Lee, and recognize one of our most amazing employees who has been here for 37 years. You were a babe in the woods when Rick and I got here 7 years ago. You were at the 30-year marker. And I was kind of amazed then when I sat down, when you just talked about what the average Port Authority employee was, who they were, how they believed in this place called the Port Authority. And I remember the first conversation with you, and you were 30 years in, and this was in your lifeblood. And usually people go 20, 25 years and they run out of the place. But here, the Port Authority, which you have come to kind of show me, and Lillian and other folks have kind of taught me, is that when you're in the Port Authority, and I tell the commissioners, once you're in the Port Authority, you're in the Port Authority. You are captured in the spirit of this Port Authority. And no one has captured that spirit, Mary Lee, more than you. And I had breakfast the other day with Huntley Lawrence. I don't know if you remember that name, who graced our place for many decades. By the way, doing amazingly well, and I've never seen a man happier in all my life. So there is hope on the other side. And I said, Mary Lee's leaving, and he said she's been as instrumental a part of the place as anybody else in the last 4 decades. When we were in this room a few weeks ago, Mary Lee, for the staff send-off, we looked around the room and it was packed, and I had some pithy comment from an Irish poet, Yeats, who talked about when there's strangers in a room, they're really not strangers. If there's a common bond that kind of all forms together with them, they're really friends. And I said to the crowd then, there are thousands of people, Mary Lee, that you have touched. There are thousands of employees past and future and present that you have helped. You have been a mentor to hundreds. You have been a role model for us all. When you look back, when you started back in the day in 87, it has been quite a trip. When you talk about when you were the HR rep, you were the staff HR rep, the principal, HR executive, employment executive, head of HR, which is one of the thorniest, the hardest jobs, I will tell you, one of the hardest jobs. And you've been doing that for about 11 years. You have been cited by national associations as the top female executive and top executive. Port Authority couldn't be any more lucky and blessed to have had you here for 37 years. And we didn't want this day to come, but now that it's here, we just got to talk about what you've meant to us, and you're going to hear from some of us. And we got a couple of token things for you to show our deep debt of gratitude to you. And the other thing we talk about, and it doesn't happen often, the Robert Wagner Medal is an infrequent award that goes out to a handful of people over the last 103 years. Today's an occasion we're going to vote for that medal to be bestowed upon you from all these commissioners on behalf of the executive director and all 8,000 employees, because that's how we feel that you have deserved that medal, and deserve every medal that we could possibly give you, because you've stood this place up in the hardest of times. And we talked about during COVID when people were broken down, you talked about rallying their spirits. At the end of the day, you were there just saying, we got to get through this because you've seen it all. And the senior folks said it's a pack of 4 or 5 of the senior employees that made it all happen. So, Mary Lee, today is an end in one respect, but it's also a new beginning. It's a new beginning for your next life to share with your family and friends, and go see Huntley in Senegal and other places he went to. Really cool stuff. But for me, as a commissioner, as the chair here for 7 years, I can't thank you more for what you've done. I can't thank you for being there 24/7, demanding job, not always the most popular job, hard job. You got to make the right call, and sometimes you don't make people happy, but you always in your heart did what was right. I can't thank you enough. And on behalf of the board, job well done. Thank you for 37 years. We love you, and we're going to miss you. Thank you, Mary Lee. Anyone else want to be heard before we have a formal vote on the Robert Wagner Distinguished Public Service Medal? Vice Chair.
14 years, not better than 7. And you know I affectionately call you the human capitalist from your moving from Director of Human Resources to Director of Human Capital. And I always affectionately, when I see her, I call her that. It's been a great run for me and working with you. I always look to you for what we call the emis, the truth. And I second his concern that, or words that you always made the tough decisions, and we appreciate your leadership. And on behalf of all my colleagues, God bless and Godspeed.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
Mr. Chairman,
Director. Yes.
Just like to say I remember my first meeting with Mary Lee where she sort of cocked her head and she sort of looked at me and said, I'm not sure I'm up for training another executive director. But what I would say, Mary Lee, is that I'm glad you stuck it out. I mean, the fact is, the chairman has recounted the perception and the role that you play, the attitude of the organization toward you, the extent to which the organization is really dependent in major ways on the human capital organization to function. But we really had a very special working relationship. And you were always there. You were always accessible. You really have a combination of high perceptions, high commitment to doing what's right, high commitment to getting across the finish line, getting projects done, and you were always there in terms of offering advice, guidance. Many times with the Port Authority, the origins of policies and developments are lost in a dark mist of decades. But you were a great guide, great partner, great advisor, and I wish you Godspeed.
So, Rick, if we're going to tell tales out of school, I will tell you, the first senior staff meeting, we sat there and we had the senior staff, and Mary Lee comes up to me, she goes, I'm not really used to this. I go to, she goes, the chairman, the executive director in one room. And she goes, in all the years, she goes, it doesn't really last. So she was, in her Irish-like way, was saying that the ED and the chair are just not naturally, met as a couple. And we've had this thing work, and Mary Lee, you're part of the magic of why it worked. The senior staff, everybody's here. The reason this thing works with New York and New Jersey over the last 7 years, it's not just Rick and I, it's you. You guys hold the glue, and Mary Lee, you're the center of that glue that makes it all work. So there's no division of New York, New Jersey. There's no separation by geography. It's because we have all come together. So your cynicism, I hope, was not warranted, but you're right. In the past, it hasn't, but now it has, and it's thanks to you for that happening. So at this time, I'd like to have a motion for the resolution to award the Robert Wagner Distinguished Public Service Medal to Mary Lee Hanel.
It is a great honor, and I so move.
I'll second that.
Gary seconded. Roll call, please.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolway?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
So awarded, it is carried. So at this time, I ask of all the commissioners, and Rick, if we can all go down, and we have a couple of trinkets to pass on to Mary Lee. I need some help carrying this stuff. Vice Chair. Can you carry the flag, Karen?
Must be all honored.
Liz, can you?
Flag.
Great. Joe? Present that. All right, step up. So a couple of things we're going to do. Commissioner Fine, why don't you start off by either reading or paraphrasing this wonderful resolution?
Well, this is a tribute to Mary Lee Hanel, an award of the Robert F. Wagner Distinguished Public Service Medal. And it's in recognition of 37 years of dedicated service to the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. We congratulate Mary Lee Hanel on the occasion of her recent retirement. Mary Lee joined the Port in 1987, has served with distinction, and has held the position of Chief of Human Capital from 2013 until her retirement. She has had a distinguished career. She has overseen the implementation of countless programs, innovation, and has been recognized for attracting just the best talent. You have helped the Port Authority meet its critical mission to New York and New Jersey, and by resolution adopted by the board in 1991, the Robert F. Wagner Distinguished Public Service Medal was established to honor Robert F. Wagner for his outstanding achievements and contributions to the Port Authority and the service to the people of the Port District. And today, this important honor is bestowed on you. Pursuant to the foregoing report, the following resolution was adopted. Resolved that the Commissioners of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey do hereby express to Mary Lee Hanel their sincere appreciation for her service to the agency and the region it serves, and it is further resolved that the Robert F. Wagner Distinguished Public Service Medal be awarded to Mary Lee Hanel for outstanding distinguished service, and it is further resolved that the Board of Commissioners hereby directs that this resolution be suitably engraved and presented to Mary Lee Hanel as a token of the high esteem in which she is held by the board and staff alike.
Commissioner McKay, can you present the medal to Mary Lee? Vice Chair, do you have something to read or present?
I think I should read it, if I may.
Sure.
Service Excellent Award presented to Mary Lee Hanel. The Board of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and its Executive Director hereby recognize the contributions made by you, Mary Lee Hanel, during her 37 years of dedicated public service to the Port Authority and the bi-state region. Mary Lee served with distinction in a series of management roles of increasing responsibility, including human resources, procurement, the Office of Medical Services, and since January 2013, as the Chief of Human Capital. In each role, she's advanced the agency's agenda with outstanding skill, diligence, and commitment. As Chief of Human Capital, Mary Lee oversaw the implementation of countless innovative programs that increased diversity at the agency, expanded the agency's hiring practices, including through various hiring and second chance programs, increased promotional opportunities for employees through membership, mentorship, and training programs, and introduced new meaningful ways to recognize the contributions of individual employees. Mary Lee was also instrumental in navigating agency leadership through recent unprecedented challenges, including the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the adoption of initiatives to foster a more equitable and inclusive agency. Upon the occasion of her retirement, it is with our utmost appreciation and respect that we honor and thank Mary Lee Hanel for her
public service and essential contributions to the Port Authority and its region it serves, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, July 25th, 2024.
Commissioner Lamar.
Yes.
Presentation.
Literally, this is a great honor for me to present this to you on behalf of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey's Police Department. We present this flag to you that was proudly flown at the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2023.
Mary Lee, in your retirement, there's a couple of books that we all chipped in a few bucks. And Commissioner Helms will give you the first book of an Irish poet that I think you might relate to, of all things. So, Commissioner.
Congratulations on that. While most of my poetry comes from Nas and J. Cole, I will tell you, having run large organizations, there is no more important role in the success of an organization than one who drives for so long. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Mary, the last one we have is an actual autographed book. And Commissioner Kelly, can you present the autographed book from the author?
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
We have Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Mary Lee.
Thank you so much. Thank
We'll photograph everybody with one of her trinkets and things. Come on in, folks.
you. My hall.
Liz, you want to spread those things out so we can all...
Next, got the flag.
Right. Yes.
There they go.
Keep that medal up there, Mary Lee.
Oh, hold on.
You know?
I'm coming.
Can you do it?
There you go.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you.
Awesome.
The microphone is yours, Mary Lee.
Thank you. Feels really odd to be on this side of the aisle. I'm going to try to get through this. I did time it. It is 1 minute over the 3-minute public remarks section. But I will proceed as quickly as possible. I found 2 very different quotes amid my things as I was packing to retire after 37 years. And holding on to anything that long and still having it hit home, I think, is pretty remarkable. The first quote shows a picture of a black cat sitting on a fence. The quote says, "You may be on the right track, but you'll get run over if you just sit there." I think it's fair to say that we all understand the true meaning of that quote under the leadership of Rick Cotton, Chairman O'Toole, and the Board of Commissioners. I've never felt such a sense of accomplishment as I have in the last 6.5 years, working with Chairman O'Toole and directly for Rick Cotton. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. It was consistently hard and very challenging work, but I have never been prouder of the amazing achievements that resulted from the collaborative work of our teams, from pushing us to always do better, to thinking big and executing thoughtfully for the greater good. Some of us who've been here around for a while, who've given their career to this agency, like my colleagues Lil Valenti, Alan Reese, and Steve Plate, have seen the outsized impact of inspired Port Authority leaders like Austin Tobin and Peter Goldmark. I dare say that Rick Cotton's leadership and achievements, especially given these most challenging of times, realistically are even more impactful on the vitality of the agency and the region as we move deliberately into our second century, and for allowing me to play a small part in that transformation. I want to say a special thank you to Rick. I'm profoundly grateful that the board and the executive director have taken to heart and continue to deliver on a promise to embrace diversity initiatives across the organization And I'm happy to be able to stand in front of a board after many, many years that has many more accomplished women and people of color at the helm of this great institution. The second quote I want to share really talks about how lucky I've been to grow my sense of self here at the Port Authority, and it's a quote from Steve Jobs. It says, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be satisfied with that is to do great work and to love what you do. And keep looking and don't settle for anything less than that which fills your heart." I think it's fair to say that I found my heart here at this organization. People know a lot about the mission of the Port Authority, but what they don't know is that the secret sauce is its people. It is truly those bonds and friendships forged over decades that I will miss the most. I've actively stayed through some of the best and some of the most tragic times at no small cost to myself and my family. But it has largely been my love for and connection with this agency that has fueled my ongoing interest in remaining here. I'm very fortunate to have found such a fulfilling and diverse career that even to my very last day continued to drive my passions. But I've been far from alone. I've had the unwavering support of a talented team of human resource and labor relations professionals over the years who bring their best work every day and who will continue to develop new, innovative, and employee-centric programs that will uniquely secure our place as a premier public service entity. And finally, my undying gratitude to my family, who have supported me in being a working mom and a wife in a high-powered 24/7 demanding job. When most moms were showing up at 3 o'clock to pick up their kids, my children were at childcare. There were no flexible remote work options, no opportunity to catch your breath at work or at home, but the work was meaningful and important, and the call to serve the public strong. I like to think that the shared public service experience at the Port Authority has in some way shaped my children in becoming the wonderful, caring, eager, and accomplished people that they are today. In truth, their willingness to come on this great adventure with me just simply made me a better leader, mother, and more caring person. And the opportunity to be paired with such a wonderful, adventurous spouse completes my life in a most exquisite way, allowing me to be exactly who I am meant to be, and for that, I'm eternally grateful to them. Thanks for the wild ride. I wouldn't have it any other way. I end with a very short story. Once upon a time, there were 3 young executives, Mike Messiah, Lillian Valenti, and me, who were learning about leadership under the auspices of a wise chief named Lula Capra. With my retirement after today, there's only one. So Lil, take care, keep the faith, and tag, you're it.
All righty. Now I'd like to hear from our Executive Director, Rick Cotton, with his report.
What a perfect introduction to a monthly report. Very well said, Mary Lee. We'll miss you. For my monthly report, I want to begin by saying flat out the Port Authority is operating at a very high level of performance. The activity levels and the financial results for the first half of the year are in. You've heard them from the Chief Financial Officer. Both were extremely strong. And on top of our facilities performance, handling record volumes, the agency successfully navigated the CrowdStrike IT outage that hit many of our business partners. The simple fact is that our airports set a record for the busiest January through June 6-month period in the history of the agency with respect to total passengers and exceeded the previous record by nearly 1 million passengers for that 6-month period. Extraordinary. At the seaport, the Port of New York and New Jersey finished the first half as the #2 port in the nation with respect to loaded cargo. And at our vehicular crossings, volume levels have continued to exceed pre-COVID. With respect to the agency's financial performance, you heard it from our CFO, but I just have to comment that the extraordinary strength of the agency's overall financial performance for the first months of the year is really very, very strong. And as always, particularly given that performance both in terms of activity levels and financial performance, I want to thank all the Port Authority employees who make that possible. Thank you to them for their dedication and their hard work. Thank you to the represented employees who make up 2/3 of our workforce, and thank you to the leaders of the 23 unions that represent our represented employees. Just a brief word on the CrowdStrike IT outage. On Friday morning, as most people know, many Microsoft systems experienced an extraordinary outage impacting approximately 8.5 million Windows users. While the impacts were widespread across industries, Port Authority IT systems themselves were unaffected, as the agency does not use CrowdStrike. But the primary impacts that Port Authority facilities felt was hugely significant due to the downed IT systems used by many of our key partners, such as Delta, United, American Airlines at the airports, APM and MARB marine terminals at our seaport, and Customs and Border Protection in terms of our federal partners. Now, despite the cancellation delays which caused such great inconvenience to many travelers, particularly at the airports, no undue crowding, no undue events occurred or were experienced in the terminals, and the Port Authority airport staff and Port Authority Police Department work closely with our partners to mitigate effects. In the wake of this event, I want to report to the board that the agency will undertake 2 urgent initiatives. First, we will conduct an intensive review of any needed strengthening of our IT quality control systems to protect against vulnerabilities resulting from software updates or patches that are defective. And secondly, we will conduct an after-action review of issues or lessons learned in terms of the emergency response in dealing with software failures of any kind. A few more words on our facility operating volumes. Last month, record-breaking numbers of airport passengers passed through our airports. Passenger levels at each of our 3 major airports, as well as total passenger levels across the region, were the highest of any June on record. LaGuardia saw the highest number of domestic passengers ever, and JFK saw the highest number of international passengers of any June in the past. At Newark, international passengers were extraordinarily strong, outperforming 2023 June levels by more than 6%. In June at our seaports, the agency turned in an extraordinarily strong monthly performance, with 16% more cargo compared to pre-COVID June 2019. At the bridges and tunnels, our 4 bridges and 2 tunnels continued strong volumes in June 2024 with levels above pre-COVID June 2019. At PATH, ridership continued to increase slowly but steadily, reaching both the highest overall ridership and the highest average weekday ridership since the onset of the pandemic, albeit the total ridership during the week remains at a little over 70% of 2019 levels. Weekend ridership, by contrast, remained high, hitting 95% of the COVID 2019 levels. 2 comments on important milestones that occurred during the month. Last week, firstly, the Port Authority and JFK Millennium Partners, the entity that will build and operate the new $4 billion plus Terminal 6 at JFK Airport, announced that 18 artists have been selected to debut new public art installations for the terminal's opening in 2026. The program was curated by the Public Art Fund, which has curated the art programs at both the LaGuardia redevelopment and at the new Newark Terminal A. The featured artists, including 10 from New York City, will be a key part of our effort to have a real sense of place, in this case, the spirit of New York, and be part of the customer satisfaction from utilizing that terminal. Second, I want to take note of an important milestone with respect to PATH's new tap-and-go fare payment system. Access to TAP has been steadily expanding. Last month, the agency reported that TAP was in place at all of the PATH stations. And with the steady growth in TAP access, the agency has seen enthusiastic adoption by riders, and we were pleased to report that TAP is now being used consistently by more than 50% of all PATH riders on any given day. Mr. Chairman, with that, I conclude my report.
Thank you very much, Rick. Appreciate it. The next thing we're going to do is show a brief video that's going to highlight the public signing of the event regarding the Gateway program, including the Port Authority's contribution to the project. And for those who were not lucky enough to sit in the sweltering heat, we wanted to show the best of that event, which was a pretty cool moment to see it all come together and see this project, the biggest project in the country, get kicked off. We roll the tape, please.
Less than 2 years ago, not a single package of the Hudson Tunnel project was under construction. Today, we have construction on both sides of the river, and in a few hours, the very first piece of equipment will show up on the Hudson River to start the Hudson River ground stabilization. I also want to thank our partners, Chairman O'Toole and Rick Cotton from the Port Authority, Tony Kosha and Stephen Gardner from Amtrak, and Commissioner O'Connor and Kevin Corbett from New Jersey Transit. We look forward to working with you over the next several years to build this project.
Our area from the Port Authority, a bi-state agency, Rick Cotton and Mr. O'Toole. Now today we're here to announce, really, this time it's real, to cross the finish line on one of the most challenging and most important milestones for Gateway. What's called in Washington the FFGA, and it stands for the Federal Full Funding Grant Agreement. The light at the end of the Gateway Tunnel is signed, sealed, and delivered. We're a country that can and should do big projects like Gateway. And the Hudson Tunnel project now moves into full construction. That's it.
And I know this is a regional project. People think of it in that way. They think of it as a project between New York and New Jersey, but that's simply not true. This is a great American project. If there is going to be a strong, a successful, an economically powerful area of the United States of America, this is it. And so investments here for the American taxpayer pay dividends for us all. We are a nation, from aviation and to sailing the seas and shipping, we are a nation that has always said that we are going to show the world a way.
Thank you to everyone, and Kevin O'Toole and Rick Cotton. You guys do extraordinary work. You're the unsung heroes who keep things moving in this region, and I'll never take that for granted, so thank you. We have moved into places that others thought was impossible. We have seen this through. And what this says is that New York and New Jersey, this region, still has the boldness, the audacity of visions where others do not. This is on the scale of the Erie Canal. So sit back, everybody. Enjoy the magic of this moment, because it may not happen again in your lifetime.
I was on with some colleagues last night, and they said, what do you got for Monday morning? And I said, I'm heading into New York City for an event outdoors.
And they said, what the heck are you doing that for in the middle of July in New York City? I said, it isn't every day that somebody hands you a check for $6.8 billion.
Thank you, New Jersey Transit President Kevin Corbett, of course, Port Authority Executive Rick Cotton, and Chairman Kevin O'Toole. Now, I have to say, the stars have truly aligned. With all the extraordinary and committed leaders you see in this audience today, an administration and a president, you've heard a lot of praise about him. He really is Amtrak Joe. I'm proud to say we are all in from the top to the bottom. We're all in on the funding and all the support that's needed to build this project of such national significance. After nearly 20 years of talk and plan and hopes and dreams is becoming a reality. We are going to build this tunnel, as I swear, by this enormous earth-moving machine behind me.
We live in an amazing part of the country. We live in an amazing region. But this project is really significant, not just to New York and New Jersey, but to the whole country. And let me say something about the two governors, because I've now, between my service on the Port Authority and my service at Amtrak, I've spent a number of hours with governors on both sides of the aisle. We have two very thoughtful, hardworking, intelligent governors who understand it's not about them, but about the work that we do. I also want to thank my former colleagues at the Port Authority. Chairman O'Toole and Rick Cotton are here today. They have really stepped up in a major way to make this project happen. But let me also say, as someone who spent 8 years at the Port Authority, the Port Authority today is marching on all cylinders. The two of them have done an unbelievable job in bringing together the two states and getting major projects done. This region is very, very fortunate to have the Port Authority, and the Port Authority is very fortunate to have Chairman O'Toole and Rick Cotton leading it, and for that we should all be grateful.
James Allen and Ben, great job, and we should have put tequila out every time Rick Cotton's name was said. We should all do a shot, and this will be a really short meeting. But to the AV people, thank you very much for putting it together. But I wanted folks who weren't there at that event to see just that the galaxy of very special speakers who all made this happen, and it's happening. And we're playing, obviously, a small, defined role. And with that, speaking of, why don't we bring up Steve Plate, who's the Chief of Major Capital, to talk about a project installing roadway decks and on Dyer Avenue and Lincoln Tunnel Expressway is the first step for the future development of the Midtown Bus Terminal. 60 seconds on Gateway.
60 seconds?
Which is impossible for you, but just give us 60 seconds.
It's impossible. But,
yeah, I know.
Mary Lee moved me in the sense that it's truly an honor and a privilege to do what we do each day. And you look at a project like that, and then about the one I'm about to talk about, thanks to the chair, the commissioners who I've been friends with for some of them decades, and Executive Director Rick Cotton. These miracles are happening each and every day, and it's truly an honor and a privilege to be a small part of leaving a legacy, a small part of history. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to do this.
Thanks, Steve.
Commissioners, I'm here today to request authorization for the Dyer Avenue Deckover project. This is an important first step in the Midtown Bus Terminal Replacement Program. The Deckover project is an important first step. As I said, when completed, they will enable us to maintain bus operations while we are constructing the storage and staging facility and ramps known as Phase 1. The communities ask us to reknit a portion of their community that the Dyer Avenue cut has impacted, and we are doing that with this project. The Deckover project authorization includes the award of construction and construction management contracts. This project authorization includes a $271 million in funding for the construction and construction management contracts. The project is anticipated to commence later this year, early next year, and be substantially complete in 2027. Today, I am here to request authorization for this Dyer Avenue Deckover project. This project authorization includes funding for the construction and construction management contracts, All of these contracts are federally compliant. Commissioners, thank you again for your continued support of this project, this significant regional project, and I have to say, World Trade Center, when darkest days, and you see what we accomplished together, as well as being a small part of and a significant part of the Gateway Tunnel. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Steve. We're going to defer voting on this unless there's any questions for Steve until after the public has an opportunity to speak. Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We're now going to provide for an opportunity for the members of the public to comment on Port Authority matters. This public comment period, which may be limited to 30 minutes total, provides an opportunity for members of the public to present their views directly to the board, but does not provide for a dialogue. Members of the public wishing to discuss a specific matter with Port Authority staff are advised to contact Public Affairs Department, and we will send them to the appropriate department. Speakers are asked to stay within the 3-minute time frame. We have 19 folks who have signed up. 5 are now not showing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we have 14, and in that we have 2 videos and 1 written statement.
That's correct.
Great. First one, John Taranu. I'm sure I screwed that up, John. I'm sorry.
Got it. Thank you.
I got it?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi there. My name is John Taranu, and I live in Jersey City. I'm also a volunteer organizer with Hudson County Complete Streets. I would like to comment specifically on the PATH service. Thank you for your continued investment in restoring and upgrading the system with new train cars, platforms, and modernized signaling. These are very welcome and a badly needed improvement. The big reason I live in Jersey City is its connection to transit through the PATH, both to Manhattan and westwards to Hudson and Essex counties. But I am concerned about the limited levels of service. You mentioned that ridership on the PATH has not yet rebounded to pre-pandemic levels. Well, yes, but service today is less frequent than it was 5 years ago. Even at 10 a.m. in the middle of a workday, service frequency drops to as little as every 20 minutes, often with significant delays, and up to 40 minutes on weekends with even greater delays. This is one of the least frequent major transit systems I've ever experienced in a major city in North America. And even as our population continues to increase and ridership has rebounded significantly. So I ask you, first, to increase service levels, especially off-peak, to every 5 minutes, which will drive higher ridership and serve our communities. I also urge a second thing, which is to expand the PATH system further out to Newark Airport and beyond. Now that the airport extension has been completed, it's a beautiful new terminal. Passenger air traffic has hit record levels, as it should. Those riders deserve a high-quality transit connection into New York, not the complex 3-step transfers between the air train, the heavy rail train, and PATH, which often on weekends has up to 50-minute gaps. Extending the PATH to Newark makes perfect sense. It's a direct link to the main transit system, the right-of-way is already there, and it brings Newark Airport up to the level of other major cities. Just to give a couple of examples, Miami and Atlanta are 2 of the top cities where New Yorkers have moved during the pandemic. In both those cities, their airport link runs every 7 minutes in rush hour and every 10 minutes in weekends. We can match or even better that. This isn't just for travelers. This also benefits the thousands of workers who come into the airport, many of whom are here today. And going through the list of cities, it's not just Miami and Atlanta. Cities all over North America are improving their connections to airports. Denver, Salt Lake City, Dallas, even Los Angeles is building an airport connection, not to mention places like Chicago and Washington, D.C. So with investment in, number 1, improving service levels, and 2, expanding the PATH, we can make the PATH into a system that we can all be proud of. And this investment will pay dividends in terms of higher ridership, reduced climate emissions, improved economic competitiveness, and providing people a better way to get around our bustling and crowded metro area. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Murray Bowden. Hey, Murray. We'll get you a mic. Is that, here we go.
I guess all my prepared remarks are secondary. You're talking about the new Gateway Tunnel. Is something that most of you don't know. That's a copy of the original ARC tunnel from many years ago. I wrote the application for the Route and Transportation Award for New Jersey Transit for the design of that tunnel. That tunnel is now the Gateway Tunnel with some minor changes. My involvement with this project took a long time to see it come to fruition, but it really did. I was briefed on it, so I know all the stuff that's going around here. And most of you don't know background of how long I've been involved with these things. I was going to talk about safety and accountability. I've been working on various projects involving road lines and things like that. And in the interest of safety, I've asked to meet with some staff here to go forward with safety issues that can reduce road rage and distracted driving. I won't be around much longer. I always take the time to thank the people at the Port Authority for what they taught me. And I apologize for some of the mistakes I've made over the years. At the time I did them, I thought I was right, but in further along, I see I was wrong then, so I apologize for some of the stupid stuff I did. I'm losing my ability to walk and to think as clearly as I used to. It's commonly known as dementia. And I talk about it because one of the ways to slow it down is to admit that you are going into the realm of dementia. And I've spoken to a number of people who also are keeping active, because if you keep active, the thing is, if you brush your teeth with your left hand, try brushing your teeth with your right hand, just to change the way you think. I may not see you again, never know, I hope to, but it's been a pleasure, and I thank you all for teaching me what I needed to bring this presentation to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray. Deborah?
Good afternoon. Thank you. The room's warmer. I'm not shivering now. Tomorrow is a very special day in my family. 34 years ago, President George H.W. Bush signed into law the American Disability Act. Why is that a big, important event in my family? Because my late mother, Bernice Greif, was born, and she was born Bernice Kaplan. Age 6, she got rheumatic fever, and you either have it settled in your joints or your heart. Sadly, it went to her heart. So my mother was in and out of hospitals. My mother was in special education and a bus child before people even understood that. There were labels that were used to describe my mother, who handled it beautifully. She says, well, I wanted to be able to walk to school, but I couldn't. She was one of the few who went to Eastern District High School using an elevator. Why do I bring this up? Because being raised by a parent with disabilities and the rail system, your air, land, rail, and sea system were not, when I was born in 1958, accessible. It wasn't until 1990 when my son Christopher, who says hello, he was 7. So my mom was still alive. It was a very big deal to us because she says, good, now they can't discriminate against me anymore. Now I'm not going to be treated like the illegal person. What she was so happy to see is when more elevators were built. And that included for the path as well as in New York City. But what we both would love to see more of, and I wish she was here to see it, I would like to make sure that when any person with disability has to use any New York, New Jersey Port Authority services, that signages are out there for us. That's if we want to go on a cruise, we need to know it's accessible. Yes, we tell them in advance, but we'd love to see and know that's accessible. I would love for you to make both sides of the path train system truly accessible. We'll tell you, My cousin Ann never went on before. She couldn't get over how nice it was. But it's like she says, she wishes she'd have more stations with ramps, elevators, escalators. She can't walk that well anymore. She's over 70. So we're just asking if you can please continue making everything accessible, and let's work together so we can, when the time I leave this earth, I left this world truly accessible. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean Ryan? Jean Ryan?
Yes. Can you lower it more?
Yeah.
It won't lower more? I'll hold it then. I'll do it. Good afternoon. My name is Jean Ryan, and I'm the president of Disabled in Action of Metropolitan New York, DIA for short. We're a grassroots, all-volunteer nonprofit led by people with disabilities, and we are working to achieve civil rights for people with disabilities. We've been around since 1970. I'm here today to call on the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to increase the minimum wage and incorporate a strong benefits requirement for all airport service workers, including a benefits supplement and paid vacation and holidays at the rates stipulated by the Federal Service Contract Act. Strong wages and benefits for airport service workers are necessary for passengers like myself to be able to travel with comfort and dignity. For anyone who has traveled with or without a disability, we see people with disabilities and also seniors being pushed in airports by poorly paid and poorly trained workers who take them through the airport. We don't see other poorly paid workers who handle our luggage and stow our wheelchairs and do many other jobs. There's so much turnover with these jobs because the workers are not paid a living wage. Our wheelchairs are bashed and ruined from lack of training. Wheelchairs are our legs. We should not have to worry about not getting our own wheelchairs during a layover or being stranded in a chair for hours or being taken to a human holding area to wait for a person to take us to our gate hours later. But this happens. I have gotten to JFK and my wheelchair was nowhere to be found, not at the plane or the gate, not at the luggage room. It turned out that it was in a locked room somewhere, but I couldn't even get there. People stay home because they cannot afford to have their expensive wheelchairs knocked over, dropped, and damaged. Why? We should not have to train the workers on how to secure our chairs or how to help us. Traveling with a disability need not be so stressful. On behalf of 15 disability rights organizations, I would like to submit this letter calling on Port Authority to commit to the safety of workers and passengers alike by adopting a new wage schedule that will bring airport service workers to an hourly wage of $25 and to require a benefits supplement and paid vacation and holidays at the rates stipulated by the Federal Service Contract Act for all lessees, permittees, contractors, and subcontractors operating at JFK, LGA, and EWR. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Evelyn England? Evelyn?
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, my name is Evelyn England, and I'm a cargo agent at JFK and a proud member of 32BJ. As a cargo agent, it is my job to ensure that freight moves safely and securely in and out of the busiest airports in the country. I coordinate with customs officers, pilots, and others to make sure that JFK remains a key economic and transit hub. Workers like me and the thousands of other workers, airport workers, are the backbone of JFK. But right now, New York Airport workers like me do not enjoy the healthcare priority with our co-workers in New Jersey. The union healthcare has made a big difference for me. I've been able to go to the doctor without emptying my bank account. The passage of the Healthy Terminals Act combined with our 32BJ union contract means quality, fully employer-paid health insurance for workers like me. Thanks to our union, we have quality health care benefits. But without a mandated increase to the hourly health care supplement, soon we won't have this quality, fully employer-paid health insurance that so many of us rely on. If I have to assume additional health care costs, I will struggle to pay other bills, and I'm not sure I will be able to get by. Thankfully, the Port Authority can fix this by mandating priority on health care for all workers at all 3 airports. The Port Authority to lead comes at a very important time. On July 19th, the contract covering 10,000 airport workers, including myself, expired. The time for the Port Authority is to act now. Today, we are asking you to lead the way once again and invest in airport workers by increasing wages and mandating the same health care, vacation, holiday policy for all airport workers that like our counterparts in New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you. Desmond Grant? Desmond?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Hello, my name is Desmond Grant. I have been a wheelchair agent at JFK and a 32BJ member for over 6 years. As a wheelchair agent, it is my job to make sure that passengers who need extra assistance get from check to the gate. It is a physical and demanding job that offers requirements me to move passengers to and from gate that are often very far apart from one another. And I have to do so in a tight schedule so folks get to their flight on time. But I love my job. I get the people who need a little extra help to and from the destination. Airport workers like me and thousands of others get people where they need to go, and we help the airport, keep the airport running. We are the reason that JFK remain economical and TransHub its need to be. But while we played a big role in helping the folks travel to see their family and take vacation, we have to choose between our paycheck and taking time off. Many of us, myself included, have family in our countries of origin that we support and miss. But without the meaningful pay time off, it is very difficult to take time off to see our family. Early this year, I visited my family back in Guyana for 2 weeks. After 2 years, seeing my family it was wonderful. But because I do not have paid vacation, I was stressed thinking about the bills I have waiting for me back in New York. And I could not really enjoy my vacation. And when I returned to work, I had to wait 2 weeks before I get another paycheck. If I had paid vacation, it would mean a lot to me, so I would enjoy my vacation and relax with my families and have enough money to pay my bills when I return home. In this message, I believe that Port Authority will listen to me because they have lead the way improving workers' conditions in the airports in the past. By ensure that pay time off for all workers at JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, you can lead once again and invest in our workforce who get passengers where they need to go and help our airport running. I want to thank the members of Port Authority for hearing from me today.
Thank you. Stephanie Green? Stephanie?
Hello, my name is Stephanie Green. I've been working at Newark Airport for 3 years and a proud member of 32BJ since 2015. As a security guard, my official duty is to observe and report. That can mean everything from flagging an unattended piece of luggage to daily employee security screenings to sweeping the terminals. In other words, my fellow security guards and I are responsible for the security and safety of the passengers, flight crews, and the airport itself. To do our job effectively, we have to remain hyper-vigilant at all times. We are a critical part of the safety and security of airports. In 2018, the Port Authority recognized the key role that airport workers like me and thousands of others play by raising the wage to $19 per hour. But $19 per hour is just not enough to keep up with the cost of living in 2024. I live in Jersey City. To commute to work, I take the bus and the New Jersey Path. Just to get to work, I pay about $250 a month. Factor in rent, groceries, light, and gas, and it's clear that $19 per hour is just not enough. On top of that, I also have to care for my mother. She had a stroke and 2 brain aneurysms at 53. There are a lot of costs related to her care, from medication to physical therapy. Caring for my mother would be difficult in the best of circumstances. It is nearly impossible when I am only making $19 per hour. These are the real-life situations that my coworkers and I have to deal with, and it is obvious that our wages just can't keep up. To survive, I have to take every extra shift I can, and that's not right. We need a wage that we can survive on. We need your leadership again. In 2018, you raised the wages for tens of thousands of airport workers. Today, we are asking that you invest in airport workers once again. An investment in airport workers is an investment in our airports. And we need your support now. Our contract expired on July 19th. We need to know you have our backs. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Ruiz? Carol? Ruiz, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carol Ruiz, and I work for Newark Airport as equipment setup for Gay Gourmet. I have been working at Newark Airport for 15 years, and I only make $20.17 an hour. We are tired how we are treated by the multi-million carrying company. I'm sorry, I'm very nervous.
It's okay, don't be nervous.
And by the $1 billion airlines. This is why we are prepared to strike as soon as July 30th. For 10 years ago, right, they discovered a fibroid on me, which has cancer. Between my low wages and expensive health insurance that Gay Gourmet offers, my family struggle. My daughter has to drop college so we could cover the expenses for the cancer treatment to keep me alive. I couldn't afford any of this, so we all got together as a family and we made that hard decision for our family, either pay college or take care of my medications. Someone was not covered, and we had so many bills to take care of, so keep mommy alive. Right now, I have to pay $80 a week for my insurance just for myself, for the $1,500 deductible. Maybe for some people who make more money than I do, it's a piece of cake, but for me, it's a struggle, and my family. If I have a better health insurance, it will be a blessing. I will be so much better financially, better off. I will be much less stressful to navigate by my health issues. While we struggle, Gay Gourmet has not shown or committed to providing any affordable health insurance for us. Our contract has been open for negotiation since 2017. That's 7 years of waiting for this company to do the right thing. But negotiations and mediation have gone nowhere with this company. Even the federal agents of the National Mediation Board have said that all the methods to settle this contract have been exhausted. There's no way we can get an agreement with this company to have something better for their workers that goes every day to work, wake up every morning to dedicate their lives. Most of us has years working for this company, dedicating ourselves, giving the best and more extra for this company who show us that they don't care for us. That's why we are at the verge of going on strike. Gay Gourmet doesn't care about us the way we care about them. I'm proud to work for it. And I'm willing to fight to make the decent place for me and every other co-worker that I have. I think I should be treated with respect and dignity like everybody else. I think the way I work, I should deserve a better health insurance and a better benefits for me and my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Williams, Wayne Devane, please. Williams.
My name is Devon Williams. I work at Gigome. I work at Gigome for 14 years. That for 14 years. Other organized. My name is Devon Williams. I work at Gate-Gomer, Newark Airport. I have worked that for 14 years originally. When United Airlines run the catering, and since Gate-Gomer took over, I am proud member of the United Air 100. Regarding now, my wages is $22.85 an hour. My co-workers and I are trying to the proud poor payment that we receive for our work. This that keep the airport running. We want the Port Authority to know that we may be on strike at soon as July 30. I have 3 children in my household. I have driven of providing the very best for them so that they can go to school and have the career they want, but the low wages and experience, health, and Gate-Gomer make the difficult. After 14 years of work at the airport, I still don't not make enough to live on. This is not fair. I am not making enough, but such Gate-Gourmet workers are doing even worse across the company. Nothing lower paid workers can as low as $13 per hour. Only 25% of coverage by employees provided benefit insurance, and only 2% of an child family medical over employment provided health insurance. It is especially unfortunate that, unfortunately, at a time which airports are making major profit, just like years that 3 major airlines, Delta, American, and United, make more than 13 billion in profits. Okay, yes, okay. In profits combined. That is as a profit.
Got it. You're doing well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Rafael Ortega. Thank you. Just trying to keep everybody at about 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mr. Ortega is going to deliver his statements in Spanish, and I'll offer a brief translation afterwards.
Great. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Rafael Ortega. Trabajo en un almacén de Gay Gourmet, New York. Me siento muy orgulloso de ser miembro de la local 100. Quiero asegurarme de que la autoridad portuaria esté consciente de que mi compañero de trabajo y yo podríamos estar en huelga tan pronto como el 30 de julio. El trabajo que hago es duro y es importante. Me aseguro de que mi compañero de trabajo y yo estemos suministrando necesario la garantía que los aviones despeguen con toda la comida y la bebida necesaria. Este trabajo me cansa y puede ser muy peligroso. Cuando hay una emergencia y necesitamos trabajar rápido para cargar un avión a tiempo y todos mis compañeros de trabajo se concentran en sacar la comida y la bebida. Si nosotros los aviones se retrasarían. He trabajado en Gay Gourmet en New York durante 14 años, pero solo gano 20,70 a la hora y esto es demasiado poco para sobrevivir. Aunque hacemos este trabajo crítico, muchos de mis compañeros de trabajo en nuestro aeropuerto no pueden sobrevivir con los salarios que nos pagan. No hay ninguna razón por la cual los trabajadores como yo que luchan para sobrevivir con este tipo de salario, al mismo tiempo, Gay Gourmet está ganando dinero. Es el punto más alto de la pandemia o del COVID. Gay Gourmet aprovecha el apoyo financiero del gobierno que le permite recibir 171 millones de dólares en dinero de los contribuyentes. Mientras que al mismo tiempo despidieron a 5,000 trabajadores desde entonces, la ganancia de la empresa ha incrementado. La ganancia operativa de Gay Gourmet se duplica, crece entre 2022 y 2023. No quiero hacer huelga, ninguno de nosotros lo quiere, pero realmente necesitamos más dinero para mantener a nuestra familia y a nosotros mismos. Si estuviera más dinero, yo usaría para darle mejor condiciones a mi esposa que está enferma, pero eso, mi compañero de trabajo y yo, dispuestos a ir a la huelga ya el 30 de julio. Gracias a todos ustedes.
Thank you. Thank you.
The big thing Mr. Ortega would like to stress is that he's a proud member of Unite Here Local 100. As early as July 30th, our union can go on strike. The wages he's making after 14 years is only $20.70. It's not enough for him to survive on, despite the airport and the Gay Gourmet making millions and millions of dollars. So we really appreciate your time and attention on this matter. We don't want to strike, but it's something we'll do if we have to. Thank you so much.
Tell Mr. Ortega thank you. Jason Anthony, last live speaker, then we have 2 brief videos. Jason, welcome.
That shows you right there that your workforce is pretty diverse. We hope that your board changed that perspective. First of all, good afternoon. Jason Anthony, a disability advocate and a proud member of the Long Island Railroad ADA Task Force. First of all, July is Disability Pride Month. Like I mentioned yesterday in the New Jersey Transit Board, why wasn't Disability Pride Month not mentioned in the Port Authority? Why was that? Because the Metropolitan Transportation Authority did a video about it. Why not the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey? Why not the New Jersey Transit Corporation hasn't done anything? Why was this? Let's do an interesting fact. 14th Street station on the cycle path, like I call it, is not accessible. But get this, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority is making it accessible. Think about it, folks. You guys could get into an agreement and speak with General Lieber and make it accessible. Because as we speak, they're making it accessible. Hello? Let's get your brains and MTA's brains into one and make a station complex like 14th Street that could get customers that use the F&M and the PATH train, or like I call it, the cycle path, fully accessible without going to 33rd Street. Think about it, guys. That could save minutes to commute for everybody. Another thing, one Sunday, I was at World Trade Center. You guys know how many people I saw not paying the fare? Around 50. Let's pay attention about upgrading the fare gates, because it's very disappointing seeing people going to New Jersey not paying the fare. Because as a New Yorker who pays its fare, it's very disappointing that New Jerseyans don't pay their fare. Second, we should rename the Midtown bus terminal to Abraham Lincoln. Second, last thing, Libby McCarthy, we will want to see your reports before the board meeting and without the disgraceful disclaimer, because we want to see from where the Port Authority receives their funds, because it's not fair that we don't see the transparency that people like myself don't see, because it's 2024, we want to see transparency. So thank you for your time.
Thank you,
and we
Jason.
want transparency once and for all.
Thank you, Jason. Jim, no other live speakers?
Yeah, that's all the live speakers. We have 2 video speakers.
All right, let's go Sebastian Hickey, Martinez Hickey.
My name is Sebastian Martinez Hickey. I'm an economic analyst at the Economic Policy Institute, a nonprofit, nonpartisan think tank that uses the tools of economics to research public policies that improve the economic conditions of low and middle wage workers. I am speaking today to support the proposal to increase the Port Authority's minimum wage and require the provision of a benefit supplement and paid vacation and holidays at the Federal Service Contract Act rate for all contracted airport service workers at JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark airports. Since the Port Authority's last minimum wage policy update in 2018, inflation has driven up the cost of living for workers in the New York area and eaten into the minimum wage's purchasing power. The Port's minimum wage, which currently sits at $19 an hour and which has no further scheduled increases, does not secure a living wage for airport workers. EPI's family budget calculator shows that even considering only basic needs, a full-time worker with no children in the New York metro area must earn approximately $27 an hour to cover their annual expenses. Costs are significantly higher for the nearly half of airport workers with children. A single parent with 1 child in the New York area must earn at least $42 an hour to make ends meet. Requiring a uniform healthcare supplement across all 3 airports is necessary for workers to keep their current healthcare plans in the face of rising healthcare costs. The New York Healthy Terminals Act, which currently determines the benefit supplement for workers at LaGuardia and JFK, has not been updated since 2020. According to the Medical Expenditure Panel Survey, from 2020 to 2023, the average single adult health insurance premium in the Newark metro area grew 13%. Family premiums grew 16%, and the employee contribution to that family plan grew almost 30%. Rising costs have significantly eroded the benefit supplement's value, creating the risk that thousands of low-wage workers lose their private health care plans because the current rate is too low. It is common sense to peg the supplement to the Federal Service Contract Act, which would periodically adjust the supplement for changing healthcare costs and which is already in place in New Jersey. Providing a living wage and benefits such as health insurance and paid leave attracts and retains a skilled workforce. When the Port championed the airport minimum wage increase in 2018, it cited the large body of economic research showing that setting high minimum wage standards reduces turnover and increases worker productivity. Airports have a powerful interest in reducing turnover, given the skills and experience necessary to maintain security systems and aviation infrastructure. As the Port Authority has noted, strong airport security goes beyond TSA and requires workforce-wide preparedness. For all of these reasons, I urge the Port Authority to adopt the proposed minimum wage and benefit standards for all airport workers under its purview, including part-time workers and off-site cargo workers. Universal application of these standards will maximize their positive impacts while providing simplicity for workers, employers, and regulators. Thank you.
Last video from Maddie.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andy W. Bucky's Highland. Happy ADA 34. Tomorrow marks 34 years since the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law by President George Bush. And I applaud the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey by considering accessibility as a human right. And it always should be treated as a human right. I hope you're all having a great summer, and I hope to attend a future Port Authority board meeting in person, whether it's in Manhattan or in Jersey City, and maybe even shake your hand. Anyway, with that being said, everybody, have a great summer, and God bless each and every one of you. I turn it back over to Mr. Chairman Kevin J. O'Toole.
We love Matt. He's the best. We have to get him at a meeting, Jim. Absolutely love him. And we have one written comment from John Seal.
Yeah, that was about federal staffing levels at JFK Immigration.
And that'll be included in the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. We're now going to proceed on voting of items. As Chair of the Committee on Operations, I'll present two of the items. The first item approves a collective bargaining agreement for the Port Authority Sergeants Benevolent Association, which represents 250 Port Authority police sergeants. This agreement, which is for a 32-month period, was ratified by the union on July 19th. Prior to making a motion, do we have any recusals?
There are no recusals.
Do I have any questions or comments? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
She's a yes. Excellent. Motion carries and is approved. Thank you. Next item would approve the sale of a 2.3-acre parcel of Port Authority land and associated riparian area at the Port Jersey Port Authority Marine Terminal to the City of Bayonne at the purchase price of approximately $4.04 million. The city's purchase offer was determined to be a fair market price for the property and is supported by a third-party appraisal conducted by the Port Authority on behalf of the Port Authority. The City of Bayonne intends to develop ferry landing on a portion of the property and will also invest a minimum of $1.25 million for the development of a walkway to provide pedestrian access to the Hudson Riverfront and to the new ferry. Prior to making a motion, I ask the Corporate Secretary for any recusals.
There are no recusals.
Any questions or comments? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
That's a yes. Items, votes are in order. Motions approved. We now will hear from our Vice Chair Linford to provide his report on behalf of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, I will now report on 5 items. The first item was reviewed earlier today at this public board meeting. The item authorizes $271 million project for the construction of roadway decks over Dyer Avenue and the Lincoln Tunnel Expressway, consistent with the terms presented by our Chief of Major Capital Projects. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
There are none.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I request a motion on this item.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Absolutely yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved. The second item, as presented in committee earlier, authorizes a $197.6 million project for the construction of berth 1012 at Port Newark. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
Chairman O'Toole is recused.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? I now request a motion on this item.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I now request the corporate secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Vice Chairman Linford,
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Fine,
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved. The third item authorizes $3.9 million in planning to develop a project to rehabilitate Taxiway Y and Taxiway E at John F. Kennedy International Airport. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the corporate secretary to note any recusals.
There are none.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I now request a motion on
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. I now request the corporate secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Fine,
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved. The fourth item authorizes a project to rehabilitate Taxiway Z and portions of Taxiways H and G at John F. Kennedy International Airport at an estimated total project cost of approximately $46 million. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the corporate secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
There are no recusals.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions or comments on this item? May I have a motion on this?
So
item?
moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
I now request the corporate secretary to call the roll for voting on the item.
Chairman O'Toole,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Fine,
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
Thank you. As the votes are in order, this item is approved. The fifth and last item authorizes a $22.3 million project to install 2 glycol storage tanks at Stewart International Airport and related site work. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the corporate secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
There are none.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions or comments on this item? I now request a motion on this item.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Thank you. I now request the corporate secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford,
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Fine,
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved, and I turn it back to our chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I will now ask Commissioner LaBarbera to provide the report as the Chair of the Committee on Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the Chair of the Committee on Finance, I now recommend an item that authorizes the establishment of an underwriting syndicate composed of senior managers, co-managers, and selling group members. The members will provide underwriting services for the insurance of the Port Authority debt obligations to support the ongoing capital markets program and the refunding of outstanding debt obligations for a 3-year period, with 3 one-year renewal options, exercisable at the Port Authority's discretion. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask that the corporate secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
There are none.
Do any commissioners have any questions or comments at this time? Hearing none, I now request a motion on this item.
So move.
Can I have a second on the motion?
Second.
I now request the corporate secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford,
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Fine,
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. There being no further business, move to adjourn.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Please stop by and say goodbye to Mary Lee on the way out. We have no meeting in August, and we'll see everybody in September, and I'm hoping everybody could be here for 9/11 and some of the other ceremonies that week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.